Hi, I'm Sally, and I'm 15. Before we start, let me tell you, this is a real story. Of course, Private Diary hired an actress to voice me, so it's not me that you're actually hearing. My hair doesn't actually look that great in real life either. Neither does my skin. I actually have a pimple on my forehead. I would like to thank the artists for covering that up. Oh, I'm babbling because I'm nervous. Let's get started. All parents were once children. Seems obvious, right? However, my parents were children a long time ago. It had always been hard for us to find a common language because of our huge age difference. For example, they didn't approve of my style or my musical tastes. Sally, what are those terrible sounds? Mom, that's Harry Styles, the coolest singer in the world. When I was your age, I listened to Frank Sinatra. Now that's real music. See? Luckily, I had a sister, Amelia. She was twice my age, but we were very similar and liked the same things. She was in her 30s, but still lived with our parents and didn't have a job. Well, sometimes she did try to get hired, but her first day of work was often her last one as well. Amelia loved to sleep and was always late. I overslept again. Dad, can I borrow your car? You're too irresponsible to drive. As you can see, my sister was still looking for her place in life. Most days, she stayed at home and cooked delicious dishes. She was a wizard in the kitchen. Or a witch? Well, you get it. She had a talent for cooking. One day, Amelia went to a concert. She came back home beaming like she was being filmed for a toothpaste ad. I wanted to tease her, and I asked if she was in love. That's right, Sally. I met a great guy from Los Angeles. Robert plays in a rock band, and he's the love of my life. My sister showed me a picture of Robert. I was happy for Amelia, but I didn't think their love would actually last long. After all, that rocker lived in another city. However, they kept in touch, and one day, I came home from school and heard my sister arguing with my parents. Don't even start, Amelia. You're too irresponsible to live on your own. I'm an adult and I can make my own decisions. I'm going to Los Angeles and I'm taking my daughter with me. How are you going to provide for her? My sister didn't answer and stormed away to her room. Wow, was Amelia really moving to another city? Wait, what daughter was she talking about? I walked into the room and I asked my parents about it. Their answer turned my world upside down. Sally, dear, this might come as a shock, but we're actually your grandparents. Very funny. Next thing you'll tell me, Amelia is my mom. That's right. She's always been so irresponsible. We decided it would be better for you to not know the truth. You're not going to leave us and go with Amelia, are you? That's a good one. Is it April Fool's Day? Unfortunately, they were dead serious. They even showed me documents from the clinic where I was born. Amelia really was my mom. I didn't know how to react. After all, my whole life turned out to be a lie. I went to Amelia's room to demand answers. Mom and Dad told you everything, didn't they? I can't believe it. You were my best friend. Why would you hide the truth from me? She kept sobbing as she explained that she had been way too young when I was born. My biological dad immediately moved away. Grandma and Grandpa didn't want our neighbors to judge them and just told everyone that I was their daughter. They also told Amelia to act like my sister and keep her mouth shut. I know I've made a lot of mistakes, but now we have a chance to become a normal family. Robert asked me to move in with him in Los Angeles. Sally, can we leave and start over? I was mad at my grandparents for the way they'd treated us, and I agreed to move. Can I call you Mom now? Of course! I've been dreaming about it for so long. We hugged, packed up, and headed toward our new life. Robert rented a nice apartment for the three of us, and we lived happily ever after. Or did we? At first, everything was going great. We walked around Los Angeles every day. Robert got us tickets to all the best concerts, and the person I loved most turned out to be my mom. I was still a little shocked by such changes, but it wasn't bad. I didn't talk to my grandparents anymore. Of course, I had to transfer to a new school. On my first day there, I was terribly nervous, and I wanted to make a good impression on my classmates. However, that wasn't easy. First of all, everyone in Los Angeles was cool and fashionable. And secondly, I had a talent for getting into awkward situations. For example, one day I stood in line at the checkout in a store for an hour before I realized the guy in front of me was just a mannequin. Oops, can you imagine? Don't laugh, I shared an embarrassing story. You should do the same in the comments down below. I tried to look confident when I walked into school. I didn't doubt that I looked great until a guy suddenly ran up to me and whispered, "Hey, new girl, I think you sat on some gum." What? I looked in the mirror and I found a huge pink blob on my back pocket. Damn it! I couldn't believe I'd screwed up on the first day! I turned red as a tomato, wishing I could sink through the floor. However, that boy suddenly winked at me and said I had nothing to be embarrassed about. It could happen to anyone. I once stood in line for an hour and it turned out the guy in front of me was just a mannequin. Can you imagine? That nice guy's name was Mason. He turned out to be my classmate. Mason helped me get used to my new school. I felt like I'd known him my whole life. It only took a couple of days for us to start finishing each other's sentences. By the end of the week, Mason asked me out. Yes! 1,000 times yes! We were a happy couple in love. Until one day, Mom came to get me from school and saw us holding hands. Amelia went ballistic. She suddenly stepped between us and started yelling at my boyfriend. "I don't know who you are, but stay away from my daughter." She grabbed my hand and dragged me home. Mom, what do you think you're doing? Listen, when I was your age, I did a lot of dumb things. And you were born as a result. I don't want you to repeat my mistakes. I forbid you from talking to that boy. What? That was so unfair. Mason was a good guy. Mom had gotten unlucky, but that didn't mean everyone was as bad as my biological father. However, before I could say any of that, she told me that she had amazing news. "Sally, you're gonna be an older sister soon. Can you imagine? Yay!" Whoa. Of course I was glad, but I also thought it was a bit irresponsible. After all, Amelia and Robert weren't even married yet and hadn't known each other that long. At home, Mom told Robert that she was expecting a baby. He reacted better than I'd hoped. "That's incredible. I'm so happy. We should celebrate this." He left to buy a cake and didn't come back. He only sent Mom a text a few hours later telling us that he was going on tour and we should forget about him. A child was the last thing he needed at the moment. It made my blood boil. That wannabe musician disgusted me. Mom must have cried a bathtub full of tears. What are we supposed to do now? I don't even have a job. I hated to admit it, but it seemed like Grandma and Grandpa had been right. Mom was naive like a child. I suggested we call them and ask for help. "Don't even think about it. I have my pride too, you know. We'll figure something out." I didn't argue with her because I didn't want to leave Los Angeles and break up with Mason either. I liked my new school as well. We didn't move anywhere, and things went downhill from there. It turned out that if you didn't buy food, you would quickly run out of it. I tried to comfort my mom as I finished eating the breakfast cereal. "Everything is so expensive. Where are we gonna get the money?" "Don't cry. I'll think of something." It was obvious that we both needed to find jobs. That night, Mason called me and asked me out, but I had to say no. "Sorry, I can't today. I'm looking for a part-time job." I told him about the crazy situation I was in, and my boyfriend came up with an idea. "I work as an ice cream vendor on the weekends. I could help you get a job with me." Yes, that'd be great! A few days later, I got to work. I had to put up with insufferable customers and find time to do homework as well. "My ice cream is too cold. Give me another one." I could heat it up with a hair dryer. It would melt then. Are you kidding me? I want to see the manager. Oh, was she for real? Well, at least I had a job. I provided for our weird family and gave money to my mom for groceries. By the way, you should find a job too. I tried to get a job at a restaurant as a chef, but they said they could only hire me as a dishwasher since I have no experience. That's not for me. I tried to tell her that that was her chance to gain some experience and start a career, but she didn't listen to me. One day, I came home from school and saw her sitting on a suitcase and crying in the street. It turned out Robert had only rented the apartment for a month. My salary wasn't big enough to pay rent. That's how we became homeless. Great. I didn't know what to do, and I called Mason to ask him for advice. He gave me the address of a cheap hostel and said that my mother was terribly irresponsible. She's an adult and she should be taking care of you. Instead, you're acting like you are her mom. I know, but I feel so sorry for her. She's pregnant and her boyfriend dumped her. She'll have to grow up sooner or later. I hoped that moment would come soon. In the meantime, we headed to the hostel. We didn't even have enough money to get the cheapest room. However, the staff there agreed to let us stay if one of us became a cleaner. I'm pregnant! I need to take it easy. As you might have guessed already, I had to be the one to do it. During the day, I sold ice cream, and in the evenings, I cleaned the hostel rooms. When did I study then? Well, I didn't. I had to drop out of school. I had neither strength nor time left for studying. Instead, I took care of my mom and became like the head of our family. For a while, I thought I had everything under control, but one day, Mom got a visit from Child Services.
Why is your daughter skipping school and working 2 jobs while you're lying on the couch?
You're not my parents, and you don't have any right to tell me how to live. Damn, she should not have said that. Those guys got mad and said they would send me to an orphanage for the time of the investigation. Luck had turned its back on me. They drove me to an orphanage that same day. I could only hope Mom would find a way out. To be honest, I didn't see her as an adult. Mom was left alone, and now there was no one to take care of her. A day later, she stopped answering her phone. I was worried out of my mind. Thankfully, Mason was always there for me. He could make me smile even on the rainiest day.
Knock, knock. May I come in?
You're crazy! What are you doing here?
I brought you a small portion of french fries. It was actually a big portion, but I dropped half of them while climbing the tree.
Thanks anyway. I don't know what I would do without you.
You can always rely on me, Sally.
I spent some time in the orphanage until I was told I'd be staying with my grandparents from then on. They immediately came to get me. Oh, Sally, you've been through so much. We told you your mother was irresponsible. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. They led me to their car, but I asked for a minute to say goodbye to Mason.
I can't believe we have to break up. I'm gonna miss you like crazy.
I'll graduate from high school and move back to Los Angeles. Will you wait for me?
I promise.
We hugged one last time. I wiped away a tear and trudged to Grandpa's car. But then, I suddenly heard Mom call out my name. I turned around and couldn't believe my eyes. Even though Mom looked the same as usual, something about her was different. She seemed more confident and responsible, and she even spoke like a grown-up.
I found a job and I rented a nice house. I'll be able to take care of my daughter now. I've already given the Child Services all the documents to prove it. Sally's not going anywhere. That is, of course, if you still want to live with me.
I threw my arms around her and I asked her what had happened. Mom said that at first she could only cry and feel sorry for herself.
I even thought about going back to my parents. But then I realized I had to take matters into my own hands. I didn't want to lose the most precious thing in my life. You, Sally.
The first thing Mom did was sell her phone. That's why she hadn't answered it. Then she got a job as a dishwasher in that restaurant. She quickly climbed the career ladder because everyone was impressed by her cooking talent and became a chef. Then turned to my grandparents for help.
Growing up was hard, but I'm not the only one to blame. After all, you were the ones who always told me that I wouldn't survive without you.
Grandma and Grandpa burst into tears and hugged her.
We were wrong. You've become so independent, Amelia. We're very proud of you.
We talked everything through and my grandparents drove back home. Mom came up to Mason.
I was afraid that Sally might repeat my mistakes, but you turned out to be a good guy and didn't leave Sally when things got hard. Not all people are bad, we just need to be careful with who we trust.
That was it! My mom and I stayed in Los Angeles. She became a famous chef, published several books, and started a YouTube channel. I went back to being a carefree teenager and dating Mason. You can congratulate me, by the way. I recently became an older sister. My brother's name is Bobby. Maybe one day Private Diary will tell his story as well.